Hi everyone, I'm super excited to meet you, and first off I wanted to thank you for the opportunity of being here contributing to the growing visibility of women in tech and celebrating this fantastic day with you all. The key takeaways from my talk will be the importance of Women's Day, to follow your passion and to find a community. So before diving into my journey, I wanted to spend a moment reflecting on why in 2022, after almost 100 years from its formation, it's still very much important to raise awareness and celebrate Women's Day. So I was reading an article a couple of days ago where I've gathered 11 reasons why we should do that, and they're almost as tragic as the famous TV show. 28 girls a minute are still being forced to get married against their will. 35% of women have experienced domestic violence or violence in general, and this number has increased even more with COVID. Obviously, as we had to, everyone had to be home, and that obviously increased the risk. It will take 100 years to bridge the gender pay gap, even though the good news is that in the UK, women under 40, for women under 40, that number is nearly zero. But unfortunately, that's not the case in other countries. This is a personal favorite, if we can be ironic about it. In the United States, there are fewer women in a leadership position than there are men named John. And I can imagine this would also be white men. The character of the Joker has won more Oscars than the whole of the womankind has ever had for directing. 181 million girls and young women are still not in education, employment or training, and we all know how awful that is, because it goes back into the arranged marriage issues or domestic violence, a lack of opportunities, and so many more awful factors. 72 countries don't allow women to open a bank account. 1 in 10 women have self-harmed because of their body image, and this has obviously gotten worse with social media. Women are taking on 3 times as much domestic work than men, and women face higher poverty rates than men, especially if they're coming from a non-white background. So I don't know how many of you might have seen themselves in these points, but I could definitely relate to 1 or 2 of them. So thank you once again for allowing me to be here with you, contributing to a more positive change much needed for everyone in the world. So my journey started at the age of 14, when I was signed off to go to a scientific school to pursue my high school studies. So this is fundamental, this is crucial, because you see, I just simply hated maths. I was terrible at it, and I had to study extra hard to get good grades in that particular subject. So you might think, why on earth would you go to a scientific school? Well, you see, I'm from Italy, and I was born in a beautiful island called Sicily, where 20% of the population is unemployed. So you would imagine how important it would be for your family and your parents to kind of ensure a secure future for their children. So going to an art school, for example, would be completely off the table because you were much better to follow a more established career path for professions such as lawyers, maybe becoming a doctor or a teacher if you're a woman. So here's me, many years later, moving on to London, and I did in fact become a teacher, and I've been working as a teacher here for the past 8 years. And I'm still quite terrible at maths, but don't tell my students. I have to say that I really enjoy teaching, and it has taught me many soft skills, which are very much transferable to the design field, which is something that I've explored a bit further on, and then I will talk to you about. Being a teacher has helped me be more empathetic, has helped me be more focused on my students' needs. I work with children with special educational needs, so I've always had to adopt these two skills because they're very important for the success of my day-to-day job. So when did the career switch happen? Well, once again, when COVID hit the world, I was experiencing a very stressful time at school. Many people out there were able to work from home, but myself and many other key workers everywhere in the world and here in the UK, we were still required to go to work even during the lockdowns. And to me, that was really stressful because I was away from my family in a foreign country and dealing with a virus that nobody really knew much about back then. So it was quite hard. So that's when I started looking back at those creative skills that I kind of had stored away in my drawer, just like a dream. So I started looking back at those opportunities and I started thinking, what is it that I could do? What kind of job can I possibly do from home? Or is there anything else out there for me? So that's when, obviously, thanks to the internet and how huge and so you need so many resources, I was able to find out about the existence of a career path or a job or a role, such as a user experience designer or a user interface designer, all terminologies and terms that I've never heard about before. So then I started looking for some courses online, just like everyone else does these days. And this is really important. If there is something that you would like to pursue and do, just Google it, just find it online. There's so many resources out there. All the tools are there for us to get, and we just need to put the effort and obviously study. So here's me following my first design course on a website called Bring Your Own Laptop by Daniel Walter Scott, where I first started learning about Adobe XD, which is a design tool. I then moved on to Figma, which is another design tool, quite popular. Both of them are still widely used today in the design field. And I then learned about Webflow as well, which is a software that allows you to develop websites in a low-code kind of manner, and a much more visual one as well, which is what I work best with. I have to stress the fact that I come from a completely different background. I've never studied design, unfortunately, in my life, or art in anything more professional than what you can study in a high school. So to me, everything was really new, really exciting, because I really enjoyed learning about these tools. And when I could finally design and see how my teaching skills were transferable to the design world, because you had to be empathetic towards the user, and most of all, you had to make sure that your designs were the most accessible and functional for your users, then to me, it was just like, well, I've been doing this for 8 years, just not in front of a screen. And then I have to say that I did have some basics of HTML and CSS, once again, thanks to the GDG London group workshops in London that allowed me to learn the basics of HTML and CSS, which then were really helpful when I started learning about Webflow, for example, this development tool. I also, throughout my studies, started taking on some freelancing gigs on this platform called Upwork. And obviously, I started connecting with many people on LinkedIn who were from the design field or the Webflow field. And I highly recommend doing that. If you're embarking yourself onto a completely different journey in a different world, the first thing you want to do is connect with the people that have been living that world. So it's really important to network and there's so many people out there that are ready to help and support you, which is really encouraging to do so. So look for mentors, look for feedback, and you'll be surprised by the impact that helping one another can have on you and the mentors themselves. I also started my own Instagram design related account, which really helped me memorize what I was studying. And also, once again, I had a really positive impact from the design community and the other people learning around the world, because as I was learning, I was creating this kind of carousel format content on Instagram, and which was helping me memorize and helping other people to learn new techniques or learn new facts. So once again, it's a great win for all. Once you install that kind of collaboration and cooperation movement, then everything gets in the right place. Thanks to the freelancing gigs and projects that I started working on throughout my self-taught studies, I also created my first ever portfolio, which is something that once again was completely new to me, and I had great fun doing so. So what about our women community? So as I was mentioning, when I started connecting with many people in the design and Webflow field, most of them were really supportive and helpful, but not all of them. And unfortunately, this is a bit of a bitter note on my side, because I did have a couple bad experiences connecting with some people, because as I was looking for mentors and some help, some of the male designers out there, obviously not all of them, just some, came back to me with inappropriate kind of questions, such as I will be asking maybe for feedback on a specific design, and then they will be like, can I ask you a question? Can I have your number? Or are you seeing anyone? And it really saddened me, because when I would then reply something like, oh, I'm sorry, I thought we were having a professional conversation here, they would then block me or ghost me and disappear, and that was really sad. So that was when I thought maybe there would be other women out there who might have been experiencing the same kind of path as myself or journey, and who might have could have done with some support or encouragement or just feedback, just like anything that I needed, basically. I wanted to share with a team of like-minded people that could have been supportive and ready to help. So that's when I posted this message in one of my design groups that I belong to. And I was just genuinely asking if there were other women who would have liked the idea of forming a group where we could help one another, and I was not expecting such a big response from that message. So from one single message, I got about 60 women from all over the world who wanted to join the cause, who wanted to form this group, and all of a sudden I realized that I had to do something for them. So that's when I created Floxies Community. So Floxies Community started in April 2021. The word Floxies comes from the Latin word flox, which means flower or flame, but it's also the scientific terminology for a beautiful plant that grows in tough meteorological conditions. And I thought of it like a beautiful metaphor for women growing in tech. I want to kind of make sure that the main aspects of our community is obviously supporting one another, sharing our knowledge, and empowering women, and also creating a safe, inclusive space for all. So how do we achieve all of that? I've started off the community by creating my very own first Discord server. Once again, something that I had never done before, but I felt the urge and the need of kind of gathering everything in a tool, and Discord was the one that worked for me well. So I opened the server and I started tidying it up in a way that everything was really clear, from the moment a new member would join, so the onboarding process will be really smooth. And I then started categorizing it in a way that people could access general chats or just sharing ideas on how to better improve and help our community grow, because obviously it's an ongoing process and it comes from the collective effort of everyone. And then we also have different categories for design and development, as you can see, where our members can share feedback, can review their portfolios, share their design or Webflow courses, and just basically create this flow of supportive conversations. As for the empowerment, I organize these weekly events in a platform called GatherTown, which I like to call our accessible metaverse, where we've built our digital headquarters. So every Wednesday at 5 p.m. UK time, we meet around the table and I invite guest speakers from the digital and design or Webflow world to come and inspire our community by sharing their knowledge and bringing value to the table, quite literally. But I also encourage the members of the community, of Floxies Community, to come on stage and present a topic themselves. By doing so, I want the women at Floxies to feel confident and empowered and to take ownership of their passion, basically, because they're all there because these women are amazingly talented people. They share a passion for design, for helping each other and developing. So sometimes all they need is just a little nudge and a boost. And here they are, sharing their passion, sharing their topics in a nice, safe environment where everyone hopefully feels supported. And one of the best feelings that I get back from all of this, is whenever a member maybe writes me a message in private saying that how grateful they are for the formation of this community or how great it feels to be here, then, for every new message, every new member and all the members already there that we have, it makes it all worth it. I really enjoy being there. It's one of the first things I do when I get up in the morning, is I check everyone is doing okay, and it feels really nice. We recently built a mental space area as well in our GatherTown office, because we've all experienced a couple of really tough years. I think mental health is one of our priorities nowadays. So I've contacted a psychologist that will come once per month to offer her services or just a listening ear to our members. This space is also there for us to just relax or slow down when needs be. Being a teacher, I also added a classroom space or a school, academy, because I've got this idea where I will be inviting educators or teachers or anyone that would like to come to teach our members a 30 minutes session, which will be mostly hands-on, if not completely hands-on. So the idea is that of learning something practical for 30 minutes, and that's different from our weekly events with our guest speakers, because it's more of a conversation. This one will be actual school where people come, and when they leave after 30 minutes, they would have learned something. So if any of you amazing people would like to come and teach us, please get in contact with me, and I'll be very happy to show you around. So how do I also empower the members of the community? Well, I try and give them visibility as much as I can. So once they do agree and come and present a topic at one of our events, then it's my job to give them visibility out there in the social media world. And these are an example of some of the events that we've had since April, and some of our great members of the community as well. The community, I have to say, I'm counting over 750 women today, so it's really hard to get a picture of everyone here in such a small slide, but each one of them has a spot in my heart. Being such a big number out there, we also launched our very own Floxies Ambassador program, and I'm very happy to say that we have 13 ambassadors representing Floxies Community in 13 different countries in the world. Once again, here's just an example. Here are some messages as well, that what I was talking to you about is this feeling of collaboration and cooperation is just what fuels a community. The effort from all our members and just the supportive, inclusive space that is generated is very special. And for me to read these messages, it just makes, it means the world to me. My lovely people out there, if you do if you would like to join us, and if you liked what you heard until now, please do get in contact with me or look us up as Floxies Community, and feel free to join us. We'll be very happy to have you. And if you want to come and speak at one of our events, please do get in contact with me as well. So thank you for having me here once again, and I do hope that wherever you are in the world, you're safe and you're well. Bye.